Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Tiff with the T here. Before we get into the video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We have a goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of October. We can definitely do it, but I need your help. Without further ado, let's get into this video.
Should black men be more intentional with dating black women? More importantly, should successful black men be more intentional with dating black women? And I personally, I will say, I think it's important.
Yeah,
I think it's important, especially as we've seen everything happen over the last couple of years, especially with BLM, Black Lives Matter, and a lot of those things. When we just think about the trajectory of black families, like the way to really strengthen black families is to have black families.
Okay, so pause just for a second. I wanted to take a moment to say that I really appreciate this question in and of itself. The fact that a black man is on one of these podcasts and he is actually looking at the forward movement of the black community and how he can contribute to that, that's powerful. So respect to my brother on Nice and Neat podcast. Shout out to them for having these conversations. And secondly, if you can relate to this, please comment down below, because if you know, you know, and I would really like to talk about this. Before we get too far into it, let's go ahead and finish hearing what he's got to say.
And I got a story for y'all. Right? I say that because I have a story for you guys, because I remember the moment when I was like, okay, I'm gonna be with a black woman. And when I had that moment, I actually was not with a black woman at the time. Very similar to Omar, I was with a Filipino woman as well. And we had an incredible relationship. Like, don't get me wrong, we had an incredible relationship. But it was a moment that happened that made me realize it's a certain level we'll never be able to connect on.
exactly.
Woo! Child, if you can relate to this, please leave me a comment down below, because this man is speaking to me right now. For all of my fellow black people, if you are hearing what this man is saying, please leave me a comment, because I went through this phase. This is me. Me is this, okay? And if you are a black person who came to the realization that you could never be with anyone other than a black person, let me know. Let's talk about this, because I just could never understand how you could be with somebody and not be able to connect with them on every level. Your life partner, you should be able to understand them and just be able to bond with them on every level. It's almost molecular in my mind. When I was looking for my soulmate, I knew that he had to be a black man. Listen, me and black American men have never been able to really get along in relationships, but I always knew that it had to be a black man, because there are certain things that people who are not black are just not going to understand, and there's forever gonna be a disconnect. The experience of being black is otherworldly. It's not even something you can explain. It's the essence of who you are, and yet if you're not black, you just don't get it. So let me know down below if y'all went through this. Maybe you're not black and you have also gone through this. We want to know about that too. Let's talk about all of it. We do not discriminate over here. We do not judge. Let's get back to the video.
We'll never be able to connect here. And if I'm cool with that, then the relationship would thrive.
Absolutely.
But I wasn't cool with that.
Yep.
The year was, I forget the year, but I remember it was in July. And if you guys remember, in Minnesota, Philando Castile was just killed.
Yep.
Right? You could watch him taking his last breaths on camera. And I remember how affected I was by it. And I remember my girlfriend at the time, she was Filipino, as I mentioned before. And she was more so hurt by, like, oh man, you know, that's unfortunate. That's wrong. You know, and I hate that my man is hurt. It wasn't like a, damn,
They killed one of us.
they killed one of us. Like, I remember I told myself, I said, okay, my wife is going to be black. I told myself that in that moment. And I've this is actually the first time I've ever said this, like, publicly.
All right, you guys, I definitely want to hear from the people. So the question is, do successful black men, high value men, do they have a responsibility to be intentional about dating and marrying black women? Let's talk about this. This is something that I have not heard in the manosphere. This is something that you won't hear them talk about. But I personally believe that anything that you want in your life, you have to be intentional about finding it, about getting it, whatever it is, whether it's weight loss, whether it's marriage, whether it's a better relationship, a better house, a better car, a better job, a better life in general. You have to be intentional, because chances are those things aren't just going to fall into your lap. You're going to have to go out of your way. You're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to go through periods of isolation, hard work, struggle, stress in order to obtain those things, right? We always hear about broken black homes, the broken black community, the poverty level, the dysfunction. We hear about all these things, but what are we as black people doing about it? The solution in my mind is successful black families are how we beat those stigmas. Successful black families are how we overcome all of those negative connotations that come with the black community. Life is all about family and relationships, and if you don't have strong family relationships in your life, then what are you doing to contribute to the overall success of the community? So I 100% agree with him on his thought process. I want to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.
I told myself that in that moment. And this is actually the first time I've ever said this, like, publicly.